All right, I'm gonna keep this simple and break the painting process down into 4 steps. Number 1, composition. Number 2, drawing. Number 3, color application. Number 4, finishing up. If there are problems in any of these 4 steps, your painting is not gonna work out. Sometimes it can be difficult to figure out why a painting isn't working or did not work out. I think it's really important to take those failed paintings and evaluate them and try to figure out where the problem areas are. If your painting breaks down in any one of these 4 steps, then it's not going to work. Composition is the foundation of your painting. If the composition is faulty, the painting will not work. So what am I talking about with composition? Typically, there's a couple things. Number 1, a pleasant arrangement of shapes. That could be shapes of color or shapes of light and dark. When I say pleasant, I mean an arrangement of shapes that appeals to you. Everybody has their own sense of composition that develops over time and through experience. So what you're looking for is a pleasant arrangement of shapes, and that's pleasant to you, something that pleases you about that arrangement of shapes. Is there a path for the eye into the painting? It could be something obvious like a path, a road, or a creek, or it can be something a little more subtle like, say, color variations in grass, or arrangements of, like, say, shrubs or bushes or waves or something like that. But is there a path for the eye into the painting, or are there blockages for the eye? Like, is there a tree right in the middle, or is there something that's blocking the eye from going into the painting? So that's step number 1, composition. Take your time to get a solid compositional idea before progressing, because if the composition isn't right, then it doesn't matter how good the subsequent steps are. You can have great brushwork and fancy details, but if the composition is poor, the painting will not work. Number 2, drawing. Now, when I say drawing, I'm not talking about being photo accurate. Everybody's got their own drawing style, and a lot of times people will be critical of themselves because they feel like their drawing isn't super accurate as far as like realistic. I'm not so concerned with that. What I look for in drawing as far as being a painter is your drawing mapping out your compositional idea accurately? In other words, again, we're building the painting on shapes. So what your drawing is just mapping out where those shapes are. Once you feel like your drawing accurately represents your compositional idea, then you can move on to the next step. All right, number 3, color application. Basically what we're looking for here is, again, trying to stay true to the original idea, the original composition. Are the values correct? In other words, is the blue dark enough? Is it light enough? I'm looking for appropriate values within the colors. And then also, is the color harmonious? Do we have color harmony, or do the colors seem to be clashing with each other? Is the color clean, or are we getting dirty or muddy color? Then you can move on to the final step, which is the finishing touches. And so what do I look for in the finishing touches? Number 1 thing that ruins paintings is killing your painting with detail. What we end up doing is breaking up that interesting pattern of light and shadow, or a pattern of color that we saw when we started the painting that inspired us. So add details very sparingly. I can't tell you, there's paintings I've seen where I feel like there's a really strong composition, but then they'll like put little fences or little people or little animals or something that just ruins the composition. So again, composition is king. So if you're gonna add detail, make sure that it doesn't mess up the overall design. Another thing to look for when finishing up is your edges. For example, do you have something off in the distance that has really hard edges? You know, you might want to soften those edges in the distance, and maybe, or say there's a focal point, you can have harder edges around the focal point, harder edges and maybe higher contrast as well. And the final thing is there anything that's distracting or unpleasant? So just sit back and look at the painting, maybe actually get your eyes off the painting for a bit, then come back to it. Is there anything that jumps out at you that bothers you? If your painting is not working, it's in one of these areas, it's so helpful to take those failed paintings and pick them apart step by step and figure out where it went wrong. Whether you're a beginner or you're experienced, it's really good to apply a checklist. This is my checklist. You can make your own, but to apply the checklist to figure out where your problem areas are so you can hone in on those and improve. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'm gonna go out and paint. So I'll see you in the next video.